Welcome to Vote 2017. I'm Teresa Whipple, and today we are talking with Jerry Smith, the mayor of Mountlake Terrace, who is running for re-election to Mountlake Terrace City Council Position 2. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about some issues facing the city, but before that, I'd like to ask you to tell us more about yourself and why you're running for re-election.
Well, I'm Jerry Smith. I moved into Mountlake Terrace back in 1968, so I've lived there for 49 years. I've been involved with the city ever since. As president of the youth group, president of the soccer program, built some soccer fields, built some football fields, and I've just been a real active individual as far as the city goes. My wife and I, 25 years ago, got involved with the city on their 40th anniversary and started Tour de Terrace. And people have fallen off and everything else, but we still have it going every year. I've been on the council now, I'm in my 16th year, and I got a lot of irons in the fire because I'm also the chairman of SNOCOM, which is the radio dispatch, and I'm the vice president of SIRS, which is radio towers. I'm also on community transit, and I'm on in the Ballinger Lake Forum. I'm also the chair of that, so I got lots of things going on, and I also go to all the light rail meetings and stuff, and we're in all that development right now in Mountlake Terrace. So I'm just right in the middle of everything that's going on. And I enjoy doing it. I give away a lot of public service. I retired from the Seattle Police Department back in 1986, and I've been real active in Mountlake Terrace all this time. There's probably not one individual in the city that does more for the city for free as I do. So,
Yeah.
like I say, I have my fingers in all of them. Not only being the chair, I'm also on the budget committees. So
Yeah,
I'm
you're a busy
kind
guy.
and I'm also on our finance part for the city itself, too.
Okay, and you've been mayor for how many years?
I'm in my 16th year on the council,
Right.
and the last 14 years I've been the mayor.
Okay, very good.
So,
And
and just kind of explain that is,
yeah,
I'm one of the few guys that have the time to go do it. Everybody else, I got 2 council members that are school teachers, one is real estate,
Yep.
2 real estate people, and one that runs a restaurant. So therefore, there's 7 of us, and our council picks the mayor, not
Right.
the citizens.
right, yeah, that's right. It's a city manager form
Yep.
of government, which means you have a city manager who does a lot of the
And
administrative
I've been
day-to-day
through
work.
3 of those. So,
All right. Well, yeah, you definitely have a long history of involvement in the community. And let's talk about one of the issues is, speaking of city council meetings, I've been to a few of those recently where the topic of conversation seems to continually be Sound Transit and the light rail station that's coming into Mountlake Terrace now about 6 months later than we originally thought, because it's going to be 2024 instead of 2023. One of the concerns I've heard in those meetings was sort of an element of distrust or not really believing that they're going to do what they say they're going to do in terms of some of the amenities at the station. The city has created a lot of planning around that light rail station. How are you feeling about your Mountlake Terrace's relationship with Sound Transit right now, and what do you think you need to keep a watch out for?
but basically, we need to go back to the basics. What happened when President Trump got in? He stopped a $1.4 billion transportation bill, which affects light rail.
Yeah.
And therefore, now light rail's come back, even though the voters voted this in 2008, not just recently, but 2008.
Yeah.
They would like us to look at and maybe try to figure out how we can cut back some of our expenses. But we were never even in 2008 promised a parking. So that was never in the design, because the parking was going to go all to Linwood, and their
Yeah.
parking garage they're building in Linwood.
And that's an important issue, because a
Oh.
lot of people feel like there should have been or was supposed to be parking there.
Yeah, and that's never been in the thing at all, even from the start. But they're asking us, they've called us together, county exec called us together, we all talked about it, but we're holding our grounds. We're not going to back off. We're going to get just what they promised us, and we're going to stay in there and fight for it, which is shelter over the on-ramps to get in and out of light rail, so if in climate weather, and then we'll also make sure we got our bathroom that they were promised, and so on. But parking is going to be an object of disgruntled in the fact that we have no place to park them. The citizens got to realize we're only 4 square miles. So we only have so much dirt.
Right.
And so therefore, one of the things we're asking the light rail transit to do was buy out the homes located right by the parking lot and make that their staging area, because the latest offer was to stage over where Rogers Market is. Well, that's not feasible because they still gotta move all their equipment every day from
Yeah.
there back and forth on our streets and tear up our streets, so there's no compensation. So we're staying right in there, we're fighting,
Okay.
just like Shoreline is doing and Linwood Bowles. We're all in there together fighting with them.
Right.
We hope the government, federal government, relaxes and opens it back up for the transportation funds.
Yeah,
If they do
yeah.
that, then there's no hassle.
Well, yeah, I mean, the cities all along the route have been doing a lot of planning related to that, so I know that
We've got lots of
everybody's
time
concerned.
invested, even
Yeah.
though they do have an engineer working with us on their payroll at our city hall.
Yeah,
So that helps too.
okay,
And one of our engineers or development directors, Bill Trim, is also involved with helping them and us,
okay.
so to work it out.
Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. Let's talk also about another major project that the council's been involved with, is the development in the town center area. And of course, that's something that there's been a lot of plans related to getting development into the area. And one of the things that I had heard earlier this spring in a meeting was looking at that Rogers Market building where their new developer has come in and has bought the property, and proposals for perhaps raising the height of that building. I think originally it was planned to be maybe 7 stories, and
That
right?
area, we originally planned it back in 2010 to
Yeah.
go 7 stories,
Yeah.
but it was going to be on the south side of the street.
Okay.
From Rogers Market,
Got
where the old Albertsons was, where
Yeah.
the Calvary Church is. But the fact Calvary Church doesn't want to sell out at a reasonable price, so we moved back across the street
Okay,
to look at that. And then Rogers Market sold when he passed away. And the developers come in and he's got plans and he's already bought a couple of pieces plus Rogers Market. He would like to make it go up in 2 piers up type high rise up to 12 or 14.
right,
But if you actually looked at it on a level, it would be about the same height as our water tower.
okay.
So that gives you kind of a visual of what he's talking about.
Yeah, that does help, but do you think that that has a chance of passing through the city council? Because I've talked to people who think that just seems too out of scale for the downtown area.
Well, I think it has a chance to get past the council. Just the fact that, like I say, again, we're only 4 square miles.
Right,
We have no choice. Almost all the dirt in town's been sold.
right. So you're talking about going up instead of going out?
Going up.
Yeah.
But he's talking about buying up a whole complete block
Ah,
and then make it a plaza with like 14-foot ceilings in the, three stories underneath for parking and a 4-foot ceiling in the first floor.
okay,
And then go up and have that second floor be all businesses and bring in business that way, and then go to what we would call a couple of floors of affordable housing. That's another headache we have to find some. And then go on up with this, and then put condos on the top, or
Okay.
penthouses, if you want to call it that.
okay. So that idea doesn't, you don't feel distressed by that, or that doesn't bother you, the idea of having a building that tall in downtown Mountlake Terrace?
Not really. The reason I say that is because I've seen the design. We got to do something to get revenue in to help the taxes.
Yeah,
And by him putting 3 floors in, that will take the parking underground, that will keep the parking down. And it'll be a plaza where you can walk. He's gonna move the sidewalls in and make the sidewalks wider. He'll have a fountain feature, everything that the council wanted back in 2008. He's basically gonna do it in one block versus the other. But the height is what he's gotta get to. By going to that height, he would be building a concrete building versus a stick wood building.
yeah,
So that's kind of another feature that makes it worthwhile.
right,
And it would be an attraction, it would bring everybody to town. And the object is to get people in to live in there and do some of this affordable housing and have it so they can walk to take light rail or bus, either way. And, you could live there and not even own a car. If you want to go someplace, rent one for the weekend and go. Think about that, saves you car payments, insurance payments,
Right.
all that.
okay.
I'd probably be one of those, because I'm kind of thrifty.
Okay, all right. And when we talk about another major project that is going to be on the ballot in November, Proposition 1, of course, which is the new city hall and expanded police department.
Right.
And that's something I know the council worked very hard with the citizens to develop a proposal for. And are you feeling pretty good about the chances of that passing this time around?
I think it'll pass because I want to address how we started off. And the very first one was $35 million.
Yeah.
That didn't pass because it not only included the new city hall, it also included senior center. It also included the roof for the library and a turf field for E1, which is a big dirt field we have up there that we play soccer on. And then it was
Right.
also a remodel of the golf course. Well, in the meantime, the next time out, we'd already closed down the golf course because it never did make money
Right.
from the day they built it. So give that to the seniors to be into. And we went from there down, so that took some more money off. And then we built a new reservoir underneath that area. Once we tore the old city hall down, we put a big vault in there to catch the rainwater coming off whatever building we built. In the meantime, that failed too. And that was because people out on the street wasn't really passing out the correct information as to how that was in the budget and what it would actually cost. And those people now are calling themselves activists, even now. But this time around, now we're going to do the police station. The police station, the day it was built, we moved into it. It was too small. So one of the things I've been advocating about the city hall, the new one, because I'm going to come back to that one, is the fact that when you build a city hall, you're there for 50 years.
Yeah.
It's not like owning your own building, have people come in and rent. When you outgrow it, you sell it and move on. Well, as a city, we can't do that. So, and I think what they're doing this time, got it down to the 12,500,000, and that's to renovate this police station and the city hall at the same time, because we've been out of compliance as far as the police station. We have one of our detectives that it was, well, I'm not sure what rank he is now, because he's been up and down a couple of times, so. But his office is in one of the bathrooms, a holding cell, so.
That's not ideal.
Yeah, not very attractive either.
Yeah.
So, things like that.
Yeah.
And they're just cramped in there too much.
Yeah.
And if the new growth that we got coming, by building all these different buildings down and stuff, we need the space. And by doing two at the same time, it makes it feasible to get it all done. And then you're only disrupting the community one time, tearing up the street and doing this and doing that.
Right, and it's important to note too that right now you are paying rent on a building.
$500,000 a year, roughly.
Yeah, which, can't afford, you can't afford to do that forever, so.
We only got 2 years, we got, on our
Right.
contract, we gotta be done and out of there.
Yeah,
And we have no escape clause.
yeah,
That's the other honest part of it.
okay,
We have no escape, because 2 years, we're gonna be the victim if we're not out of there,
Yeah.
of whoever owns the building, because it's sold 3 times, I think, since we've been there in the Redstone.
okay. All right, yeah. Well, and along with having to go to the voters for the City Hall project, you also, we were talking about this earlier, there's a lot of other projects that are going to be coming up for the city. The rec pavilion is
Yep.
needing some upgrades, and they've talked about doing some things to Ballinger Park, and I'm forgetting there's probably one or two others, but, how do you, as you work with citizens on these issues, how do you kind of address that, knowing there's so, how do you prioritize all those projects? It's a lot to do.
Well, what we do is, basically on the recreation pavilion, we actually went out for a tax levy lift that pays into the park and rec. So we have a fund starting now,
Good.
coming in with that tax levy. That'll always continue on and on and on, and then we can put that money towards a new rec pavilion. We know we gotta do some improvements in there, like the boiler and a few other things.
Yeah,
And then the other part, back, how to go about, we made it a passive park, so we're out working real hard on raising money. Matter of fact, tomorrow, we bring Ruth Haig, one of our state representatives, through to show her why we're talking to her about getting some money for in the park. And we've gotten some money in. We're just making it a passive park, let the grass grow. We're gonna put some boardwalks in and stuff when we get the money. And just, I'm real adamant, we don't spend money until we got it.
yeah.
You probably heard me yell about that.
Yes, I have heard you talk about that.
So, That way we can do what we want to do. And then I'm also the chair of Ballinger Lake Forum, so we've been arguing. The first thing we did, we took out the culverts on the Nile Golf Course, so we don't get the flooding of the houses in Edmonds.
Right.
That's helped so far, but we haven't had any more rainstorms like we expected, a 100-year flood.
Yeah.
So that seems to be working, but now we're working with the Corps of Engineers. We have a federal lobbyist. We go back there twice a year. And right now, we're not going because nobody knows what's going on in DC. So we're just kind of sitting back, wait till they make up their mind before we go again. But we have a federal lobbyist, and we go back and meet with our state reps. And they've given us quite a bit of money. But the Corps of Engineers come out, they're working with us on the waterway coming in through the golf course.
Right.
Into Ballinger Lake to try and figure out how to stop some of the flooding and so on. Because on the whole lake, we own 3/4 of the lake, but there's only 2 properties that are actually in our city, so.
That's right, because
Yeah.
most of those properties are on the Edmonds side.
Yeah.
And of course, that's a joint thing that you work on with the city of Edmonds, and that's for the people who live in that area, that's an important thing.
Well, and we also work with Lake Forest Park in
Right.
that Ballinger Lake Forum.
Right.
And that's kind of rare to have people, 2 cities work across the county line. And we're one of the first ones that did it. And we're friendly with Lake Forest Park.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
well, it's right next door.
Oh, yeah. Well, we flood them.
Yeah,
Edmonds floods us, Ballinger Lake floods, and we flood them. So that's how it works.
Okay.
All downhill.
all right, that makes sense, okay. Talk a little bit about business development in Mountlake Terrace, and we were just talking a bit ago before we started taping that the city has kind of recommitted itself to economic development after dealing with all these other issues you've had to deal with over the last couple of years, and hiring a new economic development director, right?
Yep.
And what is kind of the thinking there in terms of how you see that going with business development in the downtown area?
I think it's going to go good. A couple of things that transpire. We go to these, what they call AWC, Association of Western Cities, right? And
Yeah.
they have school things for us there, and they've got people talking to us all about how to generate business. Matter of fact, the individual bought Rogers Market's got a business plan that he's going to present to the whole council, probably right after the first of the year,
Okay.
to how to get businesses to move out. We know that we have people wanting to move out of King County to get into Snohomish County because of the tax thing right now. Big,
Nobody
yeah.
can afford to live there either
Yeah.
with the housing prices.
oh, I'm shocked at how much housing is, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm helping a friend out who's got a house in Mountlake Terrace, and I thought, the person before was paying $750, and these people walked up and offered $1,500 for the same little house.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, it is.
more than I pay.
Yeah. Yeah, so hiring a new economic development director, getting some new businesses into town, and I know that's part of the plan, is to bring more tax revenue to the city, sales
Yep.
tax revenue, right?
And same thing when you bring in more housing
Yeah.
and stuff, you get more tax revenue.
Yeah,
And that's the object, is get our tax revenue up so the core pretty much pays for it.
right.
And it helps out. That's how Linwood survives so much, is because of all the retail they got from sales tax and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
That's how they're working off theirs.
Okay. Well, it's time now in the program where you are able to speak directly to the voters and tell them why they should vote for you. So I'm giving you an opportunity to do that now.
Again, as I said, I'm on numerous boards, and most of them are all on. One is SNOCOM, and we're working right now to join SNOCOM and SNOPAC together and make one comm center, which is eventually, probably within 5 years, going to cost you, the citizens, about somewhere between $50 and $70 million. And we've been 5 years working on this, and if I was to leave now, being the president of SNOCOM and SERS and the treasurer, it's kind of in a turmoil. So I kind of need to stick around to get that one done. And then we're also on the budget committee for SERS, which is actually the ones that has all of the radio towers you guys see around. I'm also on that one, so we got to get all these things wound down, and we're also with light rail coming through. Now it's not a good time to change me out at this point with all the board positions I sit on. Plus, I'm one of the few guys on our council of 7 that's got the free time to do the job. Like I said earlier, I have 2 school teachers that can't go to meetings during the day, and I got 2 real estate people, and one of them's a lobbyist out there, and then I got a restaurant owner. I think that's about all I got left. And one young lady that works for the Boeing. So, and the other citizens or other people in my position need to be out and about during the day because that's the time that they want to do it. Or else, instead of paying me my salary, you'll be paying police officers and firefighters time and a half to go to meetings at night. So that's something to think about.
Okay, well, Jerry Smith, thank you so much for coming in, and I wish you the best of luck in November. Thanks again.
Okay.